Welcome, everybody, to the first ever episode of Inside the Box, the Hockey Talk podcast show with myself, Chris Ferrante, and my fellow co-hosts. And we will start with the man to my right.
Hello, everyone. You can't see under this mask, but I do have facial hair, and I do have a beard. My name is Vitor Da Silva. It's not Victor. It's not Vitter. It's, a matter of fact, Vitor. And I'll pass it off to the man with the backwards hat sitting directly to my front.
Thanks, Victor.
What the fuck? Shut the fuck up.
All right. Hi, I'm Chris, the other Chris C. You can call me, but very excited, very happy to be here. I also have a beard, but it's not as good as Vitor's. So,
damn right.
We are men with different shades of facial hair. Usually, I have a beard, but I got a subpar goatee going right now too. But yes, that's that might have to be the logo for us. We might have to have like that silhouette of like the facial hair things,
like they
do with like the Beatles silhouette posters or something like that.
Like a bunch of shitty beards that we think that look good.
Yeah, we're just in our early 20s, just going through college and
that
we're like,
rat stash look, but it's like all over your
Marchand
face.
stash.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how do we want to start this off? We'll start off with, obviously, for people who've been following, we're very well into the season so far. It's already about, I think, a quarter of the way through, roughly, of the NHL season. But things are different this year. We didn't start until after New Year's because of COVID protocol and COVID-19 as the pandemic messing with a lot of schedules in sports. And so the league decided to split up into four different divisions, for those of you who do not know, different than the regular ones that they would be. And there's an all-Canadian division, the North Division, filled with Calgary, Edmonton.
Chris, sorry to interrupt. You can't just forget the sponsors of these divisions.
I was about to say
you
that,
are right.
too.
Excuse me.
This is the first
yes.
time all the divisions have been sponsored.
That is true.
It's like, just imagine, like, the North Divisions. Like, hey, we're the, Scotia Bank?
We're the Mass Mutual East.
Mass Mutual East. Hold up. I think
kind of
one
makes
of them
sense.
is like Hyundai.
The Honda Central.
Oh, Honda Central.
And then Scotia Bank, I think, is the North. So what's that leave?
Why not Tim Hortons?
I don't know. Why NHL? Why not Tim Hortons?
Scotia.
Also, those of you who wonder about plagiarism, most of our information will be coming from NHL.com on the app and other sources as well. So stay tuned if you are inclined to wonder where we get our factual knowledge from.
Actually, it's the Discover Central Division and Honda West.
That's what it is.
Kind of makes sense because, in all the primetime games that you see, because, I'm a big advertisement guy over here, going to the field of advertisement after I graduate. And a lot of the primetime games you see, you'll see Discover. I don't even see any Scotia Bank. Do you?
Nah.
No, I think it's just... I'm thinking about the also new thing with the helmet advertisements that a lot of them have, where Scotia Bank, I think it's 2 or 3 teams in the North Division, what is it called? The Scotia North. Scotia Bank North, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Scotia North.
You always see, like every team has, every team in the East, I feel like there's always a commercial for like Mass Mutual at some point.
There is, yes.
So I feel like whoever had the most ad space got the sponsorship for that division,
A lot of them will have that ad space as well, and then different teams have them on different helmets. But yes, getting back to the realignment of the divisions, there is an all-Canadian division this year, which is the Scotia North Division, as we were just discussing with the advertisements, which include Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers, Winnipeg Jets, Montreal Canadiens, Calgary Flames, Vancouver Canucks, and the Ottawa Senators. And that is also, in that order, the standings of the current league right now, with Toronto, after 20 games played, already having 30 points. 14-4-2 is a record.
So how far do we see them going? Not in the playoffs?
We're already getting into that talk, are we?
Yeah.
Well, we are all Bruins fans, for those of you who don't know. So, but we do talk about the league a lot. So, but we will start with how we feel the Leafs are going to do this year in a different division.
All right. Can I start this off? I'm very passionate about this topic.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. So I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I am not a Leafs fan by any means. I'm not a huge fan of really anyone on the team. I think the Leafs are kind of punks. I just don't like the way that they set up their whole team in general. I think if you set up your top line so top heavy, you overpay guys like Mitch Marner, and you don't really focus on your defensive end, then, I mean, yeah, when you're in a soft division like the North Division with all the Canadian teams, you're going to get a lot of points. You're going to get a lot of wins. You're going to have some scoring from Austin Matthews, of course. But as soon as you hit the rest of the league, when playoffs come, I feel like everything's going to fall apart just like it always does. The Leafs are just that team, and it's like everyone always hypes up and everyone always surrounds them and talks about Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, John Tavares. But, yeah, I don't see him doing anything.
I forgot that guy existed.
He doesn't really do a lot on there. I mean,
he's overshadowed by Matthews and Marner, and even Nylander to some degree, because like Nylander is the one with like the quote unquote most team friendly deal out of all of those guys. He's got about like $7.5 million on that contract per year, which I mean he's not getting the points that the others are consistently right now. But I mean it's I think it was a 6-year deal at like 7.6 or something. Like you guys can definitely fact check me on that. But I like to be honest with you, actually, I'm gonna actually think that they are going to do something this year. I do. I don't think they're going to go all the way per se. I don't think they're going to win it all. But the difference is, it's obviously everyone jokes about it. Us Bruins fans too. They don't have to worry about a playoff series early on against Boston right now. They don't have to worry about that dreaded Game 7. And the second thing is too is. We don't have to worry. They don't have to worry about like playing Columbus even, which was a tough matchup for them. Columbus was really a strong team last year. Obviously different now with the Pierre-Luc Dubois and Patrick Laine trade, so they don't have the center depth that they did have and all of the things like that.
well, I mean, you got a good defensive team with Columbus, though. You got what is it, Seth Jones on defense?
Big stud.
One of the premier defensive players in the league. But
yeah, and so
it's tough.
Yeah, but I think for that reason, since they don't have to worry about certain teams like beforehand, like Boston and Tampa and even Columbus, being that weaker division, they are the top team in their conference or their division. They are going to make the playoffs first round. And I think based off who they'd be matching up against right now, it looks like Montreal, and Montreal could get the best of them because Montreal, I think, is still a great team. But I still think, even though they get recognition, they're the dark horse.
I was about to say Montreal is definitely my dark horse team.
Yeah,
I like a lot of the moves they made in the offseason.
And I think it just really depends on that. I think if they're playing anyone else in that division, like in the playoffs, I think like they could win the first round. I think Montreal could be the one that keeps them in that curse, per se. But, I mean, you still potentially, with the new division realignment, you have a potential for Boston-Montreal or even a Boston-Toronto Stanley Cup final, which is just like marketing would love that, I think, for like original six matchup, like be the first time since 2013 that that's happened. And so I think a lot of people would be loving it. A lot of people would be dreading it in that sense. But I don't know. What do you feel, Vitor? They making it or breaking it this year, the Leafs?
I say they're not getting past the first round, Chris. I just don't think that their team is built to last this long, and we've been seeing it. Fans have been talking about it for such a long time about this realignment. You're facing Ottawa 8 times. Like, come on. Who do you have in net? Like, a freaking cheeseburger? Like, goes by you so fast. I'm looking at Ottawa's standings right now. 5-14-1. They're combined for 11 points in 20 games. That's a .275 point percentage. They've allowed 80 goals. They have they're plus minus -33. And if we were to look at, I wish I can pull up Austin Matthews' stats right now, but
I got them up if you want them.
I think I want to do the split on him and his goals against the Sens, but I just think that once the Maple Leafs face a real team over a consistent period of time, because you look in the division, their goalies. There's not really one goalie that you say, "Oh, I want him to like, he's going to save this. He's going to save our team on the line." The only closest goalie I could think of that can do that for me is Carey Price.
I would say Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, I was going to say Hellebuck too.
I'd say those are like your two standout goalies in the Canadian division. Other than that, I agree with you. Like, I think the biggest tragedy right now in the NHL is Matt Murray's story. Like, I don't hate him as a person or a player. It's a shame that he's had this much of a collapse. Like recently, it's kind of like the whole Martin Jones thing when that happened. Like initially, he was potentially, people were writing about it and talking about it. People thought he was going to be replacing Tuukka Rask when we had that Milan Lucic trade, but then obviously we flipped him to San Jose for that first round pick, which ended up actually being Trent Frederick. I looked it up. And then Sean Corrali. And so that trade really worked out well for us. But it's kind of like that. He had 2 back-to-back cups. Pittsburgh thought he was going to be the youthful goalie that was going to be like the new star in that sense.
Tristan Jarry bulldozes that,
Yeah, and then he's had a turnaround lately. He started off really bad, like unfortunately, because he was a solid backup for them last year too. It's like 3 times over the whole Fleury to Murray to Jarry, now Jarry to DeSmith. DeSmith's a really good backup too. I think he's been playing more consistent than Jarry for Pittsburgh, but I think
Casey DeSmith has scored a goal in the AHL. Have you seen that? Have you heard about this?
It's been a while. If I have, I forget if I knew if he did or not.
Oh God, I'm looking at DeSmith right now. Oh boy, is this
not Mike Smith, right?
No, Casey.
Yeah,
Casey
in
DeSmith.
the AHL, you said when he was down there in
Yes.
Wilkes-Barre, Scranton.
So last year was his first full season to Smith. He's just talking about the goalies now. We're transitioning to the Central Division? East Division?
Let's save East for last. I got a lot to say about the East.
Yeah, so let's go to...
One more thing before we do transition, though.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the biggest surprises, because we'll get back into this a little bit more when we talk about player stats, but I think as much as Matthews has been on a tear with 18 goals already, I think the big... Well, I wouldn't say shock for me, but like the fact that Mitch Marner's tied with Leon Draisaitl for second in points, like 14 goals, 16 assists. That like out of the gate that quickly, like sure he is playing on a line with the top goal scorer right now, but like I mean, we saw a few years ago that he could put up like a good amount of assists and stuff. But I think as much as I still think it is an overpay, like he is like it could be a lot worse, like with some bad contracts in the league and stuff like that. But it's definitely. It's like the Bruins on steroids up top with the top line, but then they're very much weaker on defense than we are. We have the balance of like having good defense with a good top line, but it's just that whole middle section for like their team especially and their defense. But yeah, we'll hop into which division we're hopping into now.
I was just going to say something about that real quick though. If you're making $11 million a year, you better be leading the league in assists and getting having some high point percentage.
Marner's making $11 million for a year?
Marner's making $10.93 million a year, I'm pretty sure.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's getting the bucks right now.
Yeah, so if you're making that much, you better be scoring. You better be getting into it. But Chris, you're like the top line being the Bruins on steroids. I don't see that. I see them as that like they can score, they got like finesse, but they don't have like any grit or anything.
No, yeah, and
it's
like
a very soft team.
No, in the sense more so the steroids part is like the youthfulness and like the contract.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I think the more consistency is with the Bruins top line. The Bruins had the best top line. You could argue Colorado when they had it good, but no, Bruins by far. I mean, that's why I got like Marshy on my back right now, but like I think it's just because of like what they can do, like the talent they have, but like they're just way overpaid, and so it's just like exemplified and exclamated is kind of what the word I should have said, and stuff like that.
Something you got to look into when we're comparing players is really who, like we're going to be talking about this a lot in future episodes, is just who are they playing with, where, how many, like what's the situation at hand, and honestly, if you could tell me to choose one line in the NHL, final face-off to score.
Oh, no question.
Bruins.
Yeah.
Bruins. No lie.
For sure.
No question. Absolutely.
And it just goes back to, it's an old saying in football, but defense wins games. And this rolls back to hockey and any sport as well, but hockey particularly. You get an icing. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have Bergeron on the ice more times than not, he's going to win the face-off, and Pastrnak is developing
for a reason.
Yeah,
at an insane rate, mind you, too. Like he's rocketing up,
and just Pasta. He's only 23, 24 years old.
I think he's 24 now.
Yeah.
Oh God, and he's starting to become a great defensive player, playing along Marchand and Bergeron, of course. But
definitely.
That's my final take on that.
Yeah, and we'll hop into them specifically more towards the end when we get into that. But
you want to do the Central now? You were saying?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of you guys was talking about the Central. Let's check in on them. The Central Division this year, for people who don't know, is essentially a hybrid of half the West and half the Atlantic and Metropolitan divisions. This year you got, in the order of their ranking right now, you have the Florida Panthers at the top, Carolina Hurricanes, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Chicago Blackhawks, Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, and the Detroit Red Wings and stuff. So starting off, you already have Tampa Bay Lightning and Dallas Stars. last year's both Cup finalists in the same division with each other. Talk about it's like a bad breakup and you're in the same class the next day type thing.
And you see each other 8 times. Not the most ideal scenario. And let's look at Dallas. Oh, my God. 13 games played. They have a lot of catching up to do. And it really doesn't help that with, what's been happening down in Texas. Seeing what's going to happen now. Very unfortunate. But
exactly.
Yeah, tough season for Dallas. How many games did they miss with COVID, too? What was it, close to 6?
I mean, just seeing the average.
Yeah, you already have COVID games missed because of the players, and now we have the worry about the weather down there and stuff. They've had a couple of snow postponements and things like that, and they started out of the gate really fast. They initially were Joe Pavelski had already had 7 goals in a span of such short time, power play goals, of course too, but it's still putting the puck in the back of the net and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they started out really hot, proving we had a reason that we were there this past early fall when the Cup final was held. But I think that is a shock for me too, seeing them that low in the standings. And then we can talk a little bit more if one of you guys wants to bounce off this. The other end of the spectrum, Florida Panthers, 12-3-2, 17 games.
Who would have thought?
Not me.
Not me either.
Patrick Hornquist is having a huge impact on that team, and it literally,
the 6th team, right? Close to, I think.
Yeah, and that trade initially looked awful for Pittsburgh, and I'm gonna get the heat from both boys around me right now, but Pittsburgh is my second favorite team and stuff, and they're my brother's favorite team, but I have the right of saying I have that connection because of somehow Mario Lemieux's a 6th cousin, late distant cousin. So I have that as a good excuse, kind of. But if he's ever listening, anyone who has connections with him, I would love to actually have a conversation with him because never have met him in that sense. But Mike Matheson has been playing well for Pittsburgh, and we'll get into that a little bit later too. He's had a couple solid games lately, so the trade isn't looking as lopsided at the moment, and you can never tell the trade's still later on anyway. But the fact that they're playing so well is just a shock, but it's they have talent. So I don't want to say I'm fully shocked. Barkov,
yeah,
Huberdeau is just underrated.
Bobrovsky.
Don't forget Bruins legend Frank Vetrano sniping out there. Is he still playing out there? He definitely is.
Yeah, he's still down there. He's the one who had the whole Rolex and Big Mac or McDonald's deal for giving Bobrovsky the number 72.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. What about Bruins legend Noel Acciari? As soon as he gets down to Florida, now he starts getting hat tricks, starts putting up points.
2 back-to-back hat tricks last year.
God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're on a good turnaround. It's just
must be a warm weather guy.
Yeah, they got a decent. Look at you, Brett Connolly on the team, who's a good middle 6 forward for them. He won a cup with Washington and stuff. He's got some experience and all of that, and learning how to win. That's a huge thing for a lot of these teams. Bringing in players who might not be the most talented. You're talented if you're in the NHL, absolutely. And Brett Connolly is a good middle 6 forward. I'm sad he didn't work out in Boston. I think he could have, especially after he became a free agent after Washington. I was kind of hoping we were going to kind of go after him for the 3rd line prior to the Craig Smith signing and stuff. And then you have Carter Verhagey, who was the kind of 13th or 14th forward for Tampa Bay last year, bouncing back and forth. And he was scratched for the final game they won the Cup. He had played, Game 5? And then Game 6 he was scratched for the one of the Russian players on their team. I don't remember his name, and now he's on the other side of Florida, and he's starting off pretty well with them. He already has, looking at the site, he's got 13 points in 17 games plus 8 over that span, and so he's playing on that top line, and so he's having a good start so far too. I think that team is definitely one that looks legit. It doesn't look kind of in the past where you've had Buffalo go on a 10-game win streak or point streak, or Montreal start off with 9 straight games and then miss the playoffs type thing. So I think they are legit. I think they got a winning chemistry going. Look who's at the helm. Joel Quenneville, 3-time Cup winner with the Blackhawks.
It's easy to turn it. It's one of those pieces that you get to, you have these guys, you have Barkov and you have Huberdeau and you have Bobrovsky, and then for years you have nothing coming from it. But then you get that one piece at coach, that one guy who knows what he's doing, and it just brings everything together.
Yeah.
It's the linchpin in the whole system.
It's the when we get into the East Division, we'll talk a little bit more about that with Trotz. Two coaches who have helped turn their teams around. Detroit is still Detroit.
Yeah, anyone want us to talk about Detroit? 20 games played, 5 wins.
I just want to go back to Florida real quick because I was just pulling up the goalie situation.
Yeah.
Not much talking about the Bob man, Bob Meister, but
He started off like rough. People were dreading the contract at
Yeah.
first, but I mean,
How much is that contract again? Like $10 million a year?
yeah, I know, but look at this. Drieger,
yeah,
7 wins, 1 loss, 1 overtime loss.
he's been pulling the weight.
220 goals against average, 929 save percentage. I mean,
Not bad.
come on.
That's not necessarily that bad, boys, for a team that's up and coming, and especially and like when they're, I mean, this year especially, like we're seeing it already a lot. Like these teams who have like a goalie who's supposed to be really good and like kind of like starting a little bit subpar, and maybe starting to get back on the helm a little bit, but like then you have like the 1A or the 1B or the backup, like who's also really pulling the weight and making it more competitive for the all goalies combined.
Yeah.
Anyone want to talk about Columbus? Maybe the aftermath of the whole Line A Pierre-Luc Dubois trade?
Yeah,
Twade.
You
we
said
talking
Twade.
Twades.
It's those French last names that get me. Of course, I have one myself.
Luc Dubois.
Oh, I meant to say, speaking of a hockey family, there's actually a Courteau on the Bruins. You can Google that. It was a goalie like
Holy fuck.
Really?
80 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From Brockton, Massachusetts.
Maybe like yeah. But so yeah, after that trade, I don't really see a difference, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, let me pull them up while you keep talking about them.
Roslovich.
Oh my gosh, that
Roslovic
goal.
he had a nasty goal, but like I'm thinking more like the 1-for-1 aspect of it. Like when I see that trade, like Jack Roslovic is like kind of an add-on from the Jets, but like the real big thing to me is like Dubois and Line A, and it's like both of them wanted to get out, and now they're both in a place that they'll probably want to get out of with like the next couple years. You know,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it seems like, especially after that whole Line A getting bench thing, everyone off the bat was like, shit, here we go again with that, like you're saying, like right there. I mean,
but that's like Torts as a person, though. I feel like if you're not giving it your all, then he's going to throw you on the bench anyway.
What I was going to mention, though, is like after that post-game conference, like kind of Line A was kind of like, he seemed like he, like, I don't want to say woke up a bit, but he's like, I realize no matter who you are, you kind of have to like do certain things. So maybe he thought he was kind of like just, oh, I'm a good goal scorer, I can do whatever I want, kind of in Winnipeg, since it's a small market, even though the people love the hockey there, and like just, I can kind of do what I want. I mean,
he's a young guy, too.
He is. And it's just, when you throw in these, like, the young guys, I mean, sure, they've been playing hockey and they've been traveling, like, in, like, junior leagues or all that for a while now, but, like, when you throw them in these big leagues, give them big money right off the bat and stuff, because they are talented and they have, like, that superstar ability, but, like, sometimes some of them don't know how to manage it. But, I mean, it seems like it kind of woke him up a bit, so maybe, like, he'll appreciate that atmosphere. Like, a lot of people, like, the analysts in the NHL Network talk about Columbus being, like, a great kind of, like, city to, like, kind of meet the people and stuff. But then also getting back to Dubois' side, his father's a part of the Jets organization and stuff.
That's also true.
He has that connection. So, like, I think it's interesting to see how this is going to pan out, but I wouldn't necessarily call Roslovic a throwaway because he already has 10 points in 12 games. He's doing it quietly, though, other than that one goal. And so, like, he could be, like, one of those guys who's, like, that X factor, like, to make or break the team sneaking back into the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's, like, more of, like, the blockbuster trade is Dubois and Line A.
No, for
like,
sure.
you're not going to think about Roslovic and the whole deal as
No,
much.
but he could become, like,
he's
the
like
prize
the
of the
piece
trade.
that starts coming out, but the big part of the trade was, like, those two just wanted to get out of there.
Right.
Yeah, and you look at it. I'm looking at Line A stats right now. 9 games to the Jackets, 4 goals, 3 assists, a -4.
Yeah.
I think I'm a big stat guy, but really it's a big turn on number for me. The plus minus, really. If I see a goal scorer who's, gets 30 goals, gets 20 assists, pretty solid numbers for whatever player it is, but if they have anything less than a positive number, if it's anything negative, I'm like, oh, nope. I want to see what this person can do. It just shows either defensive structure, they're not there, or just team environment, because you can do that with any player, really. I know for Boston a few years ago, we had league leaders in plus minus, and you can see this for like any team any year. It'll just be like 7 guys in the top 10 just being like, oh, you have a plus 47. It's like, oh, you look at William Karlsson. I'll look it up, because the year that he scored over 40 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, right now.
Yeah, was it their introductory?
He He had a crazy season last season.
Was
too.
it introductory or the second season? I forget.
Could be the second, but
Might have been their second season.
he put up a.
I think it was because it was James Neal started off the bat really well for them, and he left after that first year to Calgary. So I think Carlson's one who kind of took over right after that. Like he started heating up at the end. That's why they put that Marchessault Smith and Carlson line together for the playoffs that first year for that run.
I always feel like Vegas is such a weird team just to talk about. They have all these guys except for like Pacioretty that you never really heard about on their teams before, and then they've been consistent cup runners since they've been
Alex Tuck.
Oh yeah,
and we'll hop back to. I want to say one more thing about the Central Division before we go on to the West with Vegas. But I mean, let's talk about Chicago. I mean, they've like quietly crept back up right back into the race. They started off awful. Everyone at the beginning of the year was like, this could potentially be one of the worst Blackhawks teams we've ever had. Yeah. And now they're still not a great record, like 9-6-4. But I mean, right now
in a division where your leaders all have 12 and 11 wins, it's not a huge gap to make.
No, it's
like,
not.
You can catch up pretty easy.
It's still early, and every game matters at this point. But I mean, look right now. I mean, Patrick Kane is 5th in the league in points with 26 on that type of team. Yeah. There's no Jonathan Taves this year because of the whole thing that they haven't decided to discuss, for personal, private reasons for his health conditions and stuff, whatever it may be, or personal reasons. But was it Pew Suter? He's had a really interesting start of a rookie year.
They have a lot of good young guys.
Their goalie, the rookie goalie, he's been really impressive to start. Taking over obviously the whole drama with Corey Crawford leaving and then losing and just kind of having to deal with kind of two backups having to kind of become starters and stuff.
Yeah, Malcolm Subban, isn't he? I feel like Malcolm Subban was doing good for his first few starts that he had.
He was, but again, his team wasn't helping him at first, so I think he was.
That's true.
Getting murdered in net because he was letting up some tough. He had an awesome save on one of them, but then it was having some really tough games. I mean, it's just he's. I mean, I'm trying to find Lankinen right now. He's not in the top 5 in the goals against average or save percentage. I don't think, but he's still being very consistent right now for the team and stuff.
Bruins legend Malcolm Subban.
I know.
1 start, 1 loss.
That was a tough game. The team played terrible.
3
that game
goals allowed.
Hey, how about our backup in the playoffs last year? Remember that? Oh, that was tough. Vladar.
Oh my God.
And then so I mean, right now I pulled it up on the fantasy app. Lankinen has a .927 save percentage and a 2.43 goals against average. And so goals against is nothing spectacular there. But again, look at the team he's playing with. You only really big name defensemen that Chicago has right now is Duncan Keith, who's he's getting older, so he's not going to be able to do as much. He's not impressing with those advanced stats, and obviously he made fun of that the other day, which was hysterical. But then Connor Murphy's holding his own. He's been a pretty relatively decent defenseman on the up and coming. Really good top 4. It would probably be a good trade bait piece if they ever decided to do that. Really good defenseman. He's coming into his own and that stuff. So those guys kind of the standouts that I know on the back end. But I mean, for a goalie getting thrown right into it with a team that's not the Blackhawks team that we used to know is definitely something that's relatively strong in that sense. And so I think it's beneficial in that sort.
I think Chicago's really good at drafting forwards, in my opinion. You see guys like Kirby Dach from, what was he, last year he got drafted? Out of all the top 3 picks, I feel like he had the best season coming out the gate. Because Jack Hughes is all right last season. He's doing better now. You got Capo Caco again with the Rangers. Tough season. I don't know if he's doing. Is he doing all right, better this season?
Well, he's doing better than Lafreniere.
Yeah.
Lafreniere. Yeah.
Lafreniere.
Yeah, that's a tough look. But I remember seeing Kirby Dach was out there. He was playing a lot. He had a lot of plays. Captain of the Canadian team this year.
Too, before he got hurt. Yeah.
Which is it's unfortunate, but I feel like he was probably one of the better picks from that draft last year. I feel like he could have gone first, and then probably.
Yeah. So I mean,
all three of those teams have been struggling for years. You got the Rangers, you got the Devils, and you got the Hawks.
Yeah, lately.
And I mean, throwing these young kids coming out. What are they all 21-ish, 20s?
Yeah, 19, 18 even too. And the draft that Doc was, it wasn't the most recent this past August, but the one prior.
Yeah.
A year calendar wise ago.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like he's my steal of last year's draft. I feel like he's a really good player. You're going to see him develop into something really good for the Hawks if he decides to stay with them or if he gets moved. Any team that picks him up is going to be, benefiting. Going to be paying a lot to get him.
He's probably going to be like one of their very few no trade pieces, I'd say. Like obviously, like
he's the future.
They don't want to let go of Kane too, but I mean sometimes you got to give up a future prospect to bring in, like kind of helping to change the team right there and now too. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they go this year because like last year, obviously this past fall and like summer into fall, they upset Edmonton in the 5-game play-in round and like they kind of shocked a lot of people and stuff. But then obviously they fizzled out pretty much right after that. But so like it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of do a quick rebuild like after having like 6 solid years of like actual good success and stuff. So hopefully. I mean, I like seeing original 6 teams do well and stuff, and I think obviously Patrick Kane, in my opinion, best American player of all time.
Yeah,
being able to put all these stats up in the modern era where goalies are like have better equipment and are a lot stronger, a lot taller, and all that too, and like the competition. It might be less physical than it was, but it's speedier now too. So
yeah. Well, I mean, Doc's like I said, Doc's he's not a little boy. He's big. He's tough.
Yeah,
he can skate. He can score. I mean, he's a player that you want to build your team around in the future. And I feel like if the Hawks have him, it'll be an easier time transitioning from that whole rebuild into the future of the league.
Yeah, and he's only 20 years old.
He's only 20? Wow.
He's only 20. And
he's probably 18 when he was drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. People being that age playing among...
Meanwhile, we're here 21, 22, just
it makes me feel like a failure.
making podcasts about these guys.
God damn, you're right.
Well, at least they give us something to talk about.
Right, absolutely.
We can shit on them. Speaking of shitting, time for our next sponsor, Charmin.
I wish we were affiliated, but we are not.
I wanna talk about the Rangers real quick. I know.
So you want to start with the East, and then we can finish with the West.
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
We'll hop on the East right now. We'll start with the
All right.
Mass Mutual East. I mean, you got Boston, the Bruins, Washington Capitals, New York Islanders, Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins, the New York Rangers, the New Jersey Devils, and the Buffalo Sabres. And Vitor can kick us off with how New York's doing right now, especially after that first-round pick this past August.
Yeah.
All I have to say is I am very disappointed in the New York Rangers. How are you going to have two... First of all, last year with Capo Caco, great highlight, great pick, but nothing's turning out. And you could see his highlights overseas. They're amazing. He's a solid player. But you can't just expect... I'm looking at his stats. 80 career games played, 26 points. He's a minus 28. Good for him. He only has 22 minutes of penalty, in those 80 games. But, come on. 13 of those points, half his career points are on the power play. And don't let me get started on Alexis Lafreniere.
It's actually Alexei.
Alexei. My man, you have one goal or two goals in 16 games. You are the number one draft pick. And this has to, go to the coach. Who's their coach?
Dave Quinn. David Quinn.
Oh, boy. He...
BU's previous hockey coach until, what was it, last year?
Jeez. Yeah, so Lafreniere, 16 games played, 2 goals, is a -7. I mean, hey, he has 2 game-winning goals. So, not a bad start.
Some clutch points. Better. Yeah. It makes a little bit. He's a little bit of a clutch guy, but, then you got lack of performance, which doesn't really,
I think the thing, though, too, to, consider, I mean, look at everyone, last year, we were just talking about with, Capo Caco earlier, bringing him up, and then Jack Hughes. I mean, everyone was like, oh, Jack Hughes is a bust. He's not doing anything for this team right now in New Jersey. I mean, look what happened now. He gained a little bit more muscle, got a little stronger, and, he's making good plays now. He's on the top line as the center, going off with that and all of that stuff. And so I think even if these guys are star players, sometimes you can't rush them. You can't just bring them in, even if they're number one overall pick, and expect that they're going to save the team immediately. I mean, there's exceptions. You have Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin right off the bat, Connor McDavid. But even if you think these guys are the next level of stuff, Lafreniere, we thought he was going to be the same type of person that those guys were. But, I mean, same thing is it's like, perfect example, look at David Pastrnak. Like, 24 teams passed on him. He was small. He was, like, tall, but he was skinny. And the Bruins picked him, 25th overall.
He's like 6'1".
Yeah, 6'1".
190.
Exactly. And so, like, he was a small guy, but what the Bruins did was he surprisingly made it to the last round of cuts before the season started that year. They sent him down to Providence. They made him, like, work on his game a little bit there, get a little bit more physical and stronger, put on a little bit more weight. He did really well in the AHL with Providence Bruins. And then when it came time to call him up, I mean, he had like one, I think, 10-game stint in between after that too. But I think other than that, he was there to stay.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, look what it's done for him. He's one of the top 3 right wingers in the league right now. Like, Kane is still there. Kucherov, when he's healthy, is there.
Yeah, 3 years later, he's a playoff superstar against the Leafs.
Yeah, it's just...
Was Pastrnak selected by Chiarelli? 2014.
Yes, he was.
Oh, my God. And Julian was still the head coach.
Yeah, he was. And so, I mean,
Ooh.
he was still the head coach in 2015. And then so Pasta, I think, had played... I forget if Pasta played his first game. It was against Philly in Philly. I forget if that was when Cassie was still there or if it was after the fact when they fired... or when Julian was still there, or if it was after the fact when they fired him and put Cassidy in. I think it was in March, so I think it was when Cassidy was there. I think it was after Julian.
I know it was during one of the Patriots Super Bowls.
Yeah, it was during the parade.
Yeah.
Our sophomore year, so that was 2015 spring.
Yeah. But getting back to the Devils, I mean, your core's still kind of young. They're doing pretty good, but you're also still second to last in the East. I mean, I think personally East is the toughest division out of all of them. My hot take for this whole season is that whatever teams come out of the East going into the playoffs, one of them's winning the Stanley Cup this year.
You think winning, too? You don't even think just going, but you think
not
winning.
Going to the finals. They're winning it. This is the toughest division. I mean, look at the top 5 teams.
Oh, I know.
Bruins, Caps, Islanders, Flyers, Penguins. I mean, those are all teams that have made the playoffs how many times in the past. Like, these are teams that you see in the playoffs every single year. Maybe not the Flyers as much, but like last year they were going off.
I think if you can, even Islanders are kind of new to the whole thing, getting better again. Like, sure, they had like that 2016 playoff matchup where they won against Florida, and that's kind of where they started their revival. But then, especially since Trotz,
you got Barry Trotz there.
They swept Pittsburgh, which was a shock, and then they did well. They played well against Washington last year, and they went all the way to the East Conference Final. I thought they were actually going to surprise and go all the way and beat. Yeah. I thought they had a chance to kind of like throw Tampa off with their like unique style. But I mean, Pittsburgh, if you count making the playoffs as that play-in round, even though they lost, like that was still like they considered it for playoff points. Well, regardless, so they've been there since. So like Pittsburgh's the most consecutive one. Yeah. Boston missed 2 years, but they're right back in it, and they
regardless of like. If you make the playoffs or not with Pittsburgh's always going to be a dangerous team. You got Malkin, you got Crosby, you got like a bunch of like. I feel like you have a bunch of seasoned guys there that know what they're doing. So every other like.
They have a team that knows how to win.
They know what they're doing.
The 3 core: Letang, Malkin, and Crosby, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're seeing a little bit of like a. It's kind of like what's happening with the Patriots. It's like you give up certain things to win championships, like you give up your longevity, and then. We get to this point, and now you're not as doing as well as you used to. But I mean, like, there's still like a shell of that playoff team. If they add the right pieces, they could come back.
I'm just looking at the East Division, and speaking about going to your point about how it's the hardest division to play in.
Yeah,
I think it's because of just like you said, these players are seasoned. They have great coaches. You got Cassidy. You got who's for the Capitals? We just said it. It's not Trotz.
No. Trotz is Islanders now, and then last year's Capitals coach, or 2 years ago, was fired, and now he's an assistant in Pittsburgh. So right now it's come on, it's the guy who was on Nashville and Philly. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh my God, Peter Laviolette.
Thank you. Yes,
hey.
Laviolette, Trotz,
Massachusetts boy.
Alain Vigneault for the Flyers.
Right there, you already have 4 coaches, and then if you count Sullivan with Pittsburgh, 5 guys who have been in the Cup relatively recently, or just at least at some point in their careers.
And look at the Devils, though. And not to, like, discourage the Devils, because they've only played 13 games.
Yeah.
They're on a good trajectory, even though they've lost 2. they have Lindy Ruff behind the bench, and I think that's why we've seen development of the rookies and like the second-year players, such as Ty Smith. I've
Really
been hearing,
good
I'm like, who's this Ty Smith? Because we the Bruins saw them in the first 2 games. We're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, who's that guy with the? He's got a huge. It's like Wood or
Miles
something?
Wood.
Miles Wood. Yeah,
Jesus.
he started off hot this season.
He's got the look of a tough hockey.
I bet
player.
he's from New Jersey. He looks like some.
I don't think
dude.
he is. I think the only New Jersey native on the team is Kyle Palmieri.
He's from Buffalo.
Okay.
Who did the Devils just name their captain?
Nico Hischier.
Yeah, Hershey
Yeah, he.
or whatever how you pronounce his
I
name.
thought you just said Hershey for a second.
No, Hershey.
Nico Hershey.
Gotta give him some chocolates. A chocolate line. It's like when like Biz was talking about how he thought Draisaitl had his own cologne, not from Cologne, Germany. So now we got Nico Hershey kisses. We got the Draisaitl cologne.
Jack Hugh Hefner. Yeah, but
I mean, even Pavel Zacha, he's got I think 4 goals, 4 assists. I just picked him up on fantasy because I was
Mackenzie Blackwood in goal too.
he's doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then
they have a Wedgwood as well.
Wedgwood is
A lot of wood on
decent
that
as
team.
well.
A lot of wood.
And then Blackwood,
A lot of
Wedgwood, but
Pause.
and then with who we just talking about? Ty Smith. I think he has like 8 assists or like
Yeah.
something like that. And so, and even that guy who started off well, Sharon Govich, like he's kind of dropped off a little bit, but he's still there. Like he's.
There's potential with that team for sure. I just don't think it's going to happen this year.
I think they're kind of. I think where they are right now is where the Panthers have been for the last 5 years. They're like right there, kind of in the middle ground, where they could do something like last second. They could push in. I mean, look what they did to the Bruins the other night. Like they made them look terrible. Like they have the speed and kind of like the physicality, a good balance of it, and they have really strong like overall gameplay. Like the way they block the slot in the defensive zone doesn't allow any shots through, which makes it a lot easier for their goalies and stuff. And so that's where they really succeed in keeping teams, especially if they've already been down a goal, on the run. They have them keep running and chasing the game.
Plus, it helps that Blackwood's a linebacker and the goal. He's massive. He takes up the whole crease, so getting the shot by him's tough.
Right, and so it's just like they have the chance to be that team who ruins it for other teams. Like you were saying, like they've missed a lot of games because of COVID. They've only played 13. Say they win their next 2 games, they'd be at 15 games played with 18 points, which would be, if Pittsburgh loses 2 straight, they'd be 1 point behind Pittsburgh and stuff. And so they're still right in this mix. Like I still think they could be a surprise and get in. Yeah. It's still too early to tell because like this race is so, for all of the divisions right now, practically like your top like 5 or 6 in each division are still really tight. Like even though like you might think who's going to get in for sure and stuff, and then all of that. But I mean, we can, if we want to talk about that with the West now, unless there's anything else I wanted to add.
Are we going to splurge about the Bruins at all yet? I feel like we should. Being Bruins
I think
fans,
right now is our time.
We have to.
So I was just going back to our division. We're the only team with a positive difference.
Yeah.
Of
plus 15.
Plus 15.
As compared to
have plus 1, and then Philly is neutral.
As compared to the Capitals, who have -2, and then they're the next best team in this division.
And we have to give big thanks to Carter Hart. Oh my God!
Yeah, we got to talk about
the scrub.
We got to talk about Lake Tahoe game, right? Like with the awesome like meth bear jerseys. It's Trent Frederick. What a goal for his first career goal. He slingshot it.
He'll never forget that.
No.
Especially in that like setting for the game. Shit.
Yeah, that bright light.
I think so.
Those shadows on the ice.
Yeah, we can talk about Lake Tahoe real quick with like that midnight second period start for the Avs and the Knights. But like, as much as it was a nice scenery place, it doesn't make sense to do an outdoor game on the California-Nevada border. Like, I get that it's nice and somewhat cold, but what are you expecting if you're also going to play in the middle of the afternoon? Why wouldn't you make it a night game anyway for that reason? Because it's just, you're not going to get good ice, and like you're going to potentially not have the best safety for the players either, and it makes it a lot harder for everyone else to play with like all those shadows, like you were saying. And so I think a hot take, and I think it would be really cool if they could work it out. I think the only issue is like quote unquote travel, but like at the same time same time zone as like Vancouver would be. Why don't they consider in the future, and NHL really should consider this. Why don't they think about, if Winter Classic isn't going to be a thing for because COVID, why don't, instead of doing like Lake Tahoe again, why don't you do something up in Alaska where you have a lot of you have cold weather where it's not going to melt, like depending on the area, obviously. But if you get like a team, say like the Canucks, who are the most close team geographically, to Alaska playing like a American team since it's a U.S. state. What if you have like a matchup there in a part of Alaska where it's just that same idea of Lake Tahoe but in a colder area, and you're getting to a people who don't have a team for their state, and you're able to do something where you can kind of grow the game there and show off some things there and maybe potentially get something going.
Why don't you do it in Boston, kid? Fenway Park.
Your cousin.
From Boston.
Gotta go to Boston.
I know. I don't know why, like, honestly, that Alaska doesn't have a team. Like, I know Anchorage is up there, like, farther away than like the earlier, like the closer parts to like the Canadian provinces. But I mean, if you can have a team like,
there's no way they can have a team.
They're not going to do it in Alaska.
They're not, because they don't have enough like population like density in one area to make it work. Like they have like people spread, like Anchorage is like your biggest spot.
They got more moose than people.
No, I know. It's just like,
if half your team gets eaten by polar bears before you get to start, then I don't think it's going to work out.
I mean, you could argue that with Winnipeg. It's the coldest area for a team right now in the middle of nowhere and stuff.
Here's the thing. I don't think you could pay guys enough to have them go and live up in Alaska for an entire season.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not going to work out.
I think they should do like some sort of outdoor game there, though. I mean, like, why not? Like, you can literally turn the Disney Mystery Alaska movie into something like more realistic, but with like 2 NHL teams playing, and it's just like you're able to, because the NHL keeps like wanting to grow the game, they say, and like they're having some trouble with marketing. Like, there's been a lot of blackouts in some areas where people are complaining they want to see the games, but they can't, and like they want to grow to other areas, but they keep like putting the same, especially all of the Bruins, like they keep putting the same teams in the outdoor games. And sure, like, it's because they're your better teams. You want to have like more money from that, but like, why not get teams that are also good, but maybe more so in the middle ground, playing in these areas that don't always get a chance? Like, what if you had teams like, granted, they've been in a lot too, but like the Rangers or someone, or even like a team like Minnesota. Like, they were supposed to have their Winter Classic this year. Maybe that could be a team in the future that you put in like an Alaska-type game against someone like Calgary, who hasn't had, I think, outdoor game since the Heritage Classic, which was before Winter Classics.
Yeah.
From what I remember. I could be wrong, but no, they had that one against the Heritage with Winnipeg.
Yeah, that was like
But
last
they had
year.
the first ever against Montreal way back.
Those beautiful Winnipeg jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, the Winnipeg jerseys are awesome. But like, why not a team like Calgary or like something like that, you know?
But well, yeah, I feel like, okay, so there's only one problem with trying to get like, you know, trying to get something going in Alaska is who's going to shell out the money to like host two to four NHL teams, bring them all the way up to Alaska, give them amenities that'll make them actually like want to be there, and like it's a lot easier like getting somewhere in like California because you're going to be able to shell out money there. Somewhere like Boston, you're going to be able to shell out. New York, stuff like that. Like, I feel like you're never going to be able to have something that far north, especially in like a state like Alaska where it's so. I feel like most of it's barren. Like nothing.
Sure,
there's not a lot going on up there.
It's all about business.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with like Tahoe, though. Sure, it's an awesome location, but I mean, with COVID right now, the team really can't even do anything. They have to home dress just to walk to the rink and stuff. So it's not like they were really even doing anything fun while they're there. Like, the whole aspect of hockey right now, you can't even go. We saw with the Capitals the issues of going into player like your teammates' hotel rooms. Like, if you can't even do that, it's like if COVID is still happening to the point where they're trying to do still more outdoor games by next season. Like, if you can't even really do anything for a weekend, like, that's why, at least in this type of climate right now, Alaska would make sense.
Yeah.
But maybe when things go back to normal, probably not.
Yeah, I
get what you're saying.
I feel regardless, it's just not going to work out. Like, like Alaska, it's just tough. Like, sometimes if you're close to the Arctic Circle, it's going to be dark for most of the year.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's more hassle than what it's worth. I feel like there are plenty of places around here that you could find.
There are.
Like, imagine New York.
Or even like upstate Maine.
No, but like, what's the Rockefeller Center? Imagine if they made up the Rockefeller Center ice for like an outdoor hockey
God, dude!
That would be awesome.
And then what they could do is they could take the 4 teams from that area, the 3 New York teams and the New Jersey team, have them play each other and turn it into like kind of like a New York kind of style like thing, you know?
Yeah, I want to see like a round robin between the New York teams.
That would that's actually like I feel like I've heard someone bring that up before, like doing like Rockefeller Center or something like that. That would be cool in that sense.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best place to do it. I mean, like, it's outside too because it makes sense with COVID. Because even if a ton of people come, at least like you're going to be outside. You could be wearing masks. It's not you're going to be in like close quarters with everyone there.
Right.
I mean, you could bar off, like you could like cut off anyone from coming in too. I mean, like I feel like you could find a way to make it work, especially in this kind of situation we're in right now.
No, definitely. I mean, I think it's obviously they have a lot of options that they can consider and things like that, but it just we'll have to wait and see with all that. And then one of the teams, obviously, that just played in Lake Tahoe, or both teams, the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche, we can start talking about the Honda West if we want. We got, like, obviously those teams just mentioned, along with St. Louis, the LA Kings, Arizona Coyotes, Minnesota Wild, the San Jose Sharks, and Anaheim Ducks. It's basically the same division, more or less, minus Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver, and then adding St. Louis and Arizona and Minnesota. And, well, no, Arizona's there, but just Minnesota and St. Louis.
Does Quentin Byfield play any?
He's in the
any
NHL
NHL
still.
games? Yeah, I was gonna say, is he still AHL?
He just got.
I'm excited to see how he does in the league. I think he's been doing pretty good in the AHL from what I heard. But
I think he could be Rookie of the Year next year because I think that's when they'll give him his start. Like he just had his first AHL goal with the what was it, Birmingham, whatever that affiliate is.
I don't know.
Whatever they are, he just got his first goal with them last week. So I think they want to develop him. They don't want to rush like the Rangers did with Laffy.
The Kings are a good. I feel like they're a good organization. They're a winning organization. They have like even though they haven't been doing too much for the past few years, like they got wiped by Vegas. Right? Wasn't it? They got wiped by Vegas a couple years ago, right?
Talking LA. Was it LA? I think it was.
Yeah, I think
that might have been
King-
the first round or the second round.
Yeah, it was the first round, and they got taken out by Vegas, who just ended up going on a hot string for that whole playoff picture. But yeah, I feel like the Kings know what they're doing. I feel like they're definitely they're a rebuilding team, but I feel like in the next few years you could probably see them doing pretty well. So you still got Kopitar, you got Drew Doughty.
The guy I want to talk about is that's surprising everyone and having like a underrated comeback season, Dustin Brown. He's got 10 goals already, 16 points.
That's scary.
Through 17 games. And this is the guy that they stripped the captaincy of to give it to Kopitar and stuff. And like, obviously I'm not in the locker room in LA. I don't follow all the LA like news stuff that closely, but like, that almost felt like a move. It was like, oh, we just want to give our best player the captaincy type thing. And it's like, I mean, Brown's the first King to ever hold the Stanley Cup and stuff. And so, like, he's clearly he has still some stuff left in the tank. And so, like, the fact that he just played his 1200th game, too. He's at 669 points. And,
nice.
Pretty nice.
Having a really good start to a season. I think he's probably the most surprising player of the league right now for, like, a collective season.
Hey, where was he? Where was he before? Check his stats from last season because no one was talking about Brown.
Right. I
didn't even know. Honestly, to be honest, I forgot he was on the team.
A lot of people did because he kind of dropped off. I mean, so far he's got 16 points. Last year he played 66 games, was a -1, had 17 goals and 18 assists, but 35 points, so about a little over half a point per game average, which is still not that bad. But like because LA was so bad, I think people was kind of focusing on, oh, Drew Doughty's awful now, and Kopitar can't do anything with the team around him, and then Toffoli was like the good guy and got traded. Yeah. But no, I think
they beat I remember we played them a couple times last year, and we got a butts kicked by them a couple times at least.
They still have stuff in the tank, like you said, new management. Like they got Luke Robitaille, and then they have Rob Blake. But those are both guys who played on that team and had like success with those teams.
Also, what's the deal with like guys in black and gray uniforms and having like those like dark circles? Like I want to die looks all the time. Like you got Derek Carr, Carr on the Kopitar. He's got those.
Kopitar's had that look since he got into the league.
He looks tired all the time. And then you got Derek Carr, who's kind of got that.
Yeah, I think that could just be his genetics.
Yeah, it could be.
He's the Slovenian vampire. You know, he's like always up at night.
Those two just remind me of each other. They're on very similarly colored uniform teams, and then they both have the same look of just being like, I don't want to be here.
But at least one of them is good, you know.
Yeah, one of them's good.
Derek Carr.
But I mean, even Kopitar himself is having a great season and stuff. Like, still, I mean, it's still on a not the best team, but I mean, even right now, him he has 21 points in 17 games, still off to a really good start. I mean, he's on your fantasy team, right? Like, Chris and I are in the same fantasy league and stuff, and so he's had some success with some of those like surprising players and stuff.
Vitor was too cool,
but
yeah.
But I mean, he only has 4 goals though. A lot of assists this season. He's like the primary assist guy.
I'm sorry, Victor.
17 assists. I think the Bruins are one person away from making that big push to the playoffs. Going back to I was just looking at the assists.
Yeah,
Bruins need a playmaker, and not just. And I'm talking about outside of
the top line.
The top line.
Like recently, like Marchand has been the assist guy. Like he's not far removed from a 39 and 36 goal seasons. He was the shooter.
Yeah.
But then like when Pasta started heating up more, and even Bergeron just like started taking advantage of like the shooting opportunities with being the best bumper in the NHL, like on the power play.
Thanks to Kasha too.
Yeah, that's what really started. I mean.
So when I see Marchand play, the way that I see him play now is he's the guy that you give him the puck, he breaks into the goal, like into the zone, like he's going to be stick handling all over the place, giving guys a hard time, and then passing it off to like Pasternak or Bergeron or something, have one of those guys fire away because I feel like he's found his playmaking stride.
He has, and I think even playing with guys on his team that aren't on his line all the time. Because sometimes when Bergeron's hurt, he plays with Krejci.
Yeah.
And hot take, I think other than Connor McDavid, I don't think there's very few. Like I wouldn't say there's no one else better, but I think there's very few who are better than Krejci at entering the blue line.
Yeah.
Like from the offensive zone. Like I'd put him in the top 3, even top 5.
When is he coming back? By the way,
they still haven't decided. They haven't announced. It's lower body.
Yeah,
I feel like
not really
I don't know
specific.
if you count hand as lower body because it falls below your.
It's probably his.
stand.
I don't remember. I didn't get to see the way he got hit.
I didn't either.
How did he get hit?
I don't
was it
think
a Mike Richards scenario?
I didn't see. I don't think they showed a replay. I don't. So it either could be a knee or a hip if we're thinking recurring.
Or it
injuries.
could, if it's just lower body, it could also be like a groin injury, like he tore it. Maybe he can't skate on it or anything for a while.
I mean, he still had no goals, but he had 10 assists up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, Krejci's a great player.
He's the guy you want to have the puck on his stick when you're. So, like we were saying, Bergeron is the guy you want when you have a last-second face-off, whether you're up or you need to get a goal within the last minute to win the face-off. Krejci's the guy you want on the ice when you need to pull the goalie and get into the blue line to start that offensive attack.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's always the guy who usually carries the puck in during those situations because he's usually on the ice before the extra attacker, but I mean, I still think he has worth. And like this year, he's shown, and like even last year, that he can still play, and he just has had unfortunate injuries and non-consistent wingers to keep him going. But I agree with you that we are one piece away from like being able to pull that off. I mean, look at Nick Ritchie this year, revival, like proving everyone wrong.
Let's see how much we can trade Nick Ritchie for.
Proving everyone wrong right now with that, which is I love that. Like I have to admit I was doubting him at one point, and I take that back now because I mean, look at, I mean
I think he got traded to the Bruins. He just didn't. He didn't know where he was, like how he was going to fit in.
It took time. Like he kind of got thrown into it, put in bad spots. Took some undisciplined kind of things, and like that's what cost it. But I mean,
because we were like, oh, we don't have a physical guy. Let's get this physical guy. And then we were like, hey, be physical, Nick Ritchie. And then made some shit plays. But I mean,
you got to remember though, he was a first round pick.
Yeah.
So like he had some potential back then, and still now if the Ducks picked him that early. Because it's few and far between you pick a guy full off the board, Moritz Seider with Yzerman, but like usually you don't go that far off the board, at least out of round, and then like the guy's a bust. And it's like, but he clearly had some potential, they thought, and it looks like it's paying off, like being like that net front presence. I mean,
did we get rid of Heinen for him?
1-for-1.
I'm looking at Heinen, Boston Bruins legend, Danton Heinen.
The odd man out.
The most mediocre player on the Bruins
since
Jordan Caron.
Oh my God!
Remember that name?
Yeah.
Wow.
I felt no. Every
had more
time
potential than him, but Jordan Caron just couldn't get it going.
Every time Danton Heinen got the puck, I was like, dude, just get rid of it. You're not even gonna make it into the zone. What are you doing? I felt like he was just. It was so disappointing watching him play. Sometimes
he was good with assists.
Yeah,
he was good with assists, but like He just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net.
He couldn't figure it out.
Unfortunate.
Oh, wait. Where is Andre Kasha? What have we done with him?
He's still hurt. I think he's in
hurt?
concussion protocol because he got hit high. I think it was was it first?
It was
game of the
early.
season?
It was really early.
First or second
game.
Yeah.
I think he got cross-checked and literally by the face and stuff. And so I honestly feel like he's kind of like the trade bait piece in that sense because it's look at you have Jack Studnicka playing well, who could easily stay with the team. Granted,
or you could move him if you needed to too, because we have we've got a lot of good younger guys. We have Kuhlman. I feel like he could be a piece you could move.
Bjork is probably the piece that they're talking about because even Cassidy, I think I heard at one point was saying that he's running out of chances. And stuff.
Yeah,
But
they don't
the way
know
he's
what
been
to
playing lately. Not the game. What was it? The last game against New Jersey. The way he was skating and he came in from the wing. And he got in front of the goalie, skated around two guys.
Yeah.
And so his speed is his attribute and his biggest skill. And I think he's starting to get his rhythm.
They
finally.
just don't know what to do with him. Remember when Pasternak was out? Whenever Pasternak's out, they try to put Bjork in a spot in the top line, then doesn't really do anything up there.
Or sometimes they tried DeBrusque on the top line with Pasta there, or then switch with Bjork.
But Bjork's been our solid third line, fourth line guy.
He's our extra guy who we can rely on.
Just put him somewhere and he'll do all right. He isn't gonna wow anyone, but I feel like he'll do okay. I love our depth on our team though.
Yeah,
I love Charlie Coyle, one of my favorite players on the team. Love Sean Corrali, absolute legend.
I just want to see more out of Coyle. It's been really disappointing.
Yeah,
it's
been a slow season for him.
I think this goal can help turn it around for him because I think they were saying it's his worst season since rookie year and things.
Yeah. Every guy goes through a slow patch. We signed him for 6 years for $6 million for a reason. He's good. He provides. He's big. He's tough, but he's good at holding on the puck. He's a goal scorer.
He can play wing just as well as center, which is a huge X factor.
Yeah, you could put him up wherever you need him, pretty much. If anyone gets hurt, Nick Ritchie, like you were talking about, he scored a few goals this season, and look at his line mates.
Yeah, he's got 6,
Coyle.
I think.
You got Coyle with him. You got Bjork on there whenever you need him, possibly. But I feel like it's not just I don't think he's burning out per se. I think he's just having a slow start. But I feel like we'll see as the season goes on, he gets into it.
I'm also just loving Bruins defense right now.
They're all 20.
Anyone.
The oldest person is Kevin Miller. Other than him, 25 years old.
Talk about proving people wrong. People are, they're so dumb for letting Chara walk. They just screwed themselves. But
Really,
Lozon's really stepped up. I've been really impressed with him.
Not to be that guy, but I was kind of
glad.
I was kind of glad Chara
Oh, I'm gonna be that guy. I'll be that guy after you're done. I'll be that guy for you.
Yeah, just to think of our defensemen. Let me just. Okay, Lozon, was he one of our top draft picks a couple years ago with DeBrusque?
It was Zaboral. That was the 13th pick.
Yeah.
Zaboral, turning out to be a great defenseman.
Yeah.
And what we've started to realize is that we don't need really that offensive, defenseman, really. We were also not only Chara but Krug as well. We're oh boy, who's gonna officiate our power play? Who's gonna run our power play? We don't necessarily have to have a top 10 power play, but it does
helps.
It helps with Torrey Krug, but we're seeing right now our power play, especially with this division realignment, you're seeing the same teams. You're going to know what you're going to get and their weaknesses. And thank God we have 4 more games or 3 more games against Philly.
I think we got 6 against Washington. Those are going to be fun games to watch, considering how it's gone this year with those teams.
Yeah. But all right, here's my take on the whole Chara Krug thing. I will be that guy, like I said. I'm not sad that Chara's out. I feel like he should have retired. I would have liked to see him retire as a Bruin. I'm not that guy that's I don't care if you're gone or not. But were you really worth more than $1 million a season at this point? I
don't think it was the contract thing. I think he just wanted to still play in a top 4 at least role. I think the money thing, I don't think was ever an issue with him. I think he didn't want a reduced role. That's what the main thing was.
My idea is that a lot of people were arguing you couldn't shell out $750,000 for Chara. No, we can't.
Yeah, and
we're saving as much cap space to like build a team, and
Right.
Chara's just not what we need at this point. We don't need a 6'7" defenseman who's too slow, who gets beaten every single time on his side. Like it doesn't. He's not helping the team at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it just
All he offered was the grit that Charlie McAvoy needed to get a little bit of confidence in this league. And I mean, look at how he's turned out. He seems like he's doing fine without him.
yeah. I mean, you lost. The biggest thing was like with that guy was the leadership that
Yeah.
you lost. But I mean, look at
But you have it with Bergeron.
has been an assistant captain as long as Chara was captain.
Yeah.
And Bergeron is the longest tenured Boston athlete right now. He was drafted in 2003, been with the team since 2004 for playing with them.
Rest in
and
peace,
stuff.
Tom Brady.
And so I know, and then the other thing is too. I mean, we have a lot of leaders stepping up. Marchand is now finally an assistant captain. Krejci
Krejci's
has
been a captain
since
for forever.
2014. And then I mean, look at now too with stepping up. Like when Krejci was hurt, Brandon Carlo just got the letter on his jersey for when. And I think he doesn't get a lot of credit.
He
is
get a lot.
Finally starting to get it. Like people forget that he played on a line with Chara before
McAvoy came in.
McAvoy came in.
Then he was with Krug too.
Yeah, and then you want to see this is probably the most cursed thing I have.
Yeah.
During the preseason before Carlos' rookie season, he wore McAvoy's number in the preseason. Like, look how weird that looks. Like, that's just like nothing related. But I mean, it's just so he is finally starting like. Ever since he started getting up on the rush and the blue lines, like, that's what really elevated his game. And
he's been more of a physical defenseman. He's been your
shutdown guy.
Yeah, he's been your shutdown guy. He's been your get stupid penalty guy too.
Yeah,
but
I think McAvoy's taken more this year.
Yeah,
though.
he's taken a lot more penalties. But that's because he's trying to show off. I feel like it's a McAvoy thing where like everyone was like, "Oh, you've been playing with Chara for your entire career. Like, oh, you got to show up. Like, we're gonna like You got to show that you're not like a huge wimp. You know?
Right.
You got to show that you got a little bit of grit yourself and that it wasn't just Chara looking out for you the whole time.
Yeah, and I think with this team, like you would talk about with the whole, who's going to run the power play? I mean, we're doing perfectly fine because you still have Bergie in the bumper. You have Pasta with the offside slap shot, like the OV, like not equivalent, but like he serves as that kind of player. And then now that you have Nick Ritchie as like the guy for the solid net front presence that we haven't had in a while, that changes the whole element altogether. Like, I think the last time we had a big body in front was Lucic, and then even Chara they tried on the power play.
Well, what was it? Cassidy said Richie's got a little bit of Lucic in him.
Yeah, and so like the thing is, like in the previous power plays, we've relied a lot on the bumper and the quarterback and the one-timing spot. Now we're relying on the bumper and the sides more, which is working, and on the net front, which works out. Because Marshy can do anything. He's kind of like the one who kind of, as much as Bergie is as much as Bergie is the bumper and you have Pasta as the shooter, and then kind of like McAvoy or whoever it may be walking the back end. Marshy's the one who can either skate the play to set up and open up a guy because he has the lower center of gravity to spin around a guy.
Yep.
He can set the play up top, shoot it, or make it the nice fake slap pass.
Enter the zone, too, if Ricci's not there.
Exactly.
But here's my opinion on the Krug thing, too. Krug's a good power play guy, but if you look at his... Hey, stat guy, you wanna pull up these stats real quick for me for last season?
Chris, can you pull up my mic so I'm clipping?
We got you a little bit higher.
But so here's my opinion on Krug. You got a good power play guy. He sets up the power play good. He's your power play quarterback, like you were saying, Chris. But what?
Never mind.
Oh, I thought we had Stat Boy saying something.
You're gonna say something, Stat Boy?
No, you almost said quarter black.
Yeah, I know. It's my stutter.
Twade.
So
Twade. But
Torrey Krug.
Yep.
What are we looking at right here? His
You want to? This year. I mean, obviously, last year was a different season, different team. So, how's he been this year? Granted,
haven't heard
anything. Has had some issues. Parayko, I think, actually has had a better season than Krug offensively, surprisingly. But he's out now. I don't know if he's day to day, but he's out. It's listed as.
Yeah.
And so Krug's going to have to kind of re-elevate again. So, like, what is he at right now?
Krug's at his 1 goal, 10 assists, 11 points in 19 games. He's a plus 11. I mean, him and Kevin. Is it Kevin Falk? No.
Yeah, I think he might be. I think he's normally playing with Parayko, but probably Falk now because Parayko's out.
Falk has.
Hey, Watch your language.
Kevin Falk has a plus 17 last time I checked already. Like, again, big plus minus guy over here.
Yeah.
And out of the 11 points that Krug has, he only has 3 power play points.
Yeah.
He only has 3 power play points.
See, that's going back to what I was going to say. Like, okay, he's your power play quarterback. Like, he's setting up like shit from the blue line. He's making things work on the power play. Look at his 5-on-5. He is terrible on the 5-on-5 in his past few seasons. Like, he isn't really doing anything. He's a littler defenseman, and we had that with Grzelcyk. But
Yeah.
Grzelcyk's younger, is not as beat up.
And Grzelcyk's been out, and that's why the Bruins defense has been so impressive right now, because we thought Grzelcyk would replace Krug on the power play and with McAvoy, and be like kind of either playing with Carlo or on the top pair. And like, so the fact that he's even out too, it's like we thought, oh, we're missing Krug that much more. But I mean, those guys have been really stepping up.
But here's my deal. Would you rather have a consistent guy on the power play? Well, not even consistent, semi-consistent on the power play, but who can set things up? Or would you rather have a good 5-on-5 player who you don't have to gamble on getting penalties from the other team, who you can have be solid, be that guy, maybe add a little more physicality than Krug could, and is more consistent overall in the 5-on-5, who's getting you points, who's setting things up for you there, which is arguably more important than having a good power play.
Going back to the almighty stat of the plus minus, last year when Krug was at the helm, he had 49 points.
He did.
Bow down.
Out of those 49 points,
Bow down to the plus minus, Vitor.
28 of those points were on the power play. 28 out of 49.
So roughly half.
Roughly half. His plus minus, -4.
Yeah.
I could care less about your power play production. If you're a defenseman, your number one job, defend the net, and you see his tie ups in front of the net, in front of Rask. Like, come on, really? It's kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
And he gets beaten, and it's not. It's other than like his just size. Like, the role he plays is like what fits best for him, but still,
he's a solid guy. Like, he's 5'9", 180. That's pretty like for like that height. Like, if you're 10 pounds less than Pasternak, who's like 4-5 inches taller than you, that's pretty good. Like a BMI, if you want to put it like that. And but with him, like, maybe if he was younger, it'd make more of a difference. But what is he, 30-something now?
Krug?
Yeah.
Let me check real quick. Do you have that stat?
The age stat, that's a very important stat as well.
Because after that, I kind of want to bring up the point with Pietrangelo even, too, and stuff.
We have a special guest.
But, yeah. No, it's like, if he was a younger guy, I felt like that would make a little bit more of a difference.
Sure.
But as you get older and as he's starting to get beat up and you have young guys that are like half a foot taller than you, beating you up, like, you're not going to be able to keep tying them up like that. Your body's not going to hold.
It's tough with big deals because, like, when you get older, especially, I mean, if we want to, like, check it out in a second, too, like, a lot of people are like, oh, that Pietrangelo signing for Vegas. Like, so sure, it's like, it's not like Krug was traded for Pietrangelo because a different team got Pietrangelo, but, like, it was a 1-for-1 for the Blues, essentially, in that sense, hypothetically. Yeah. I mean, right now, he's doing okay, but, like, people are kind of disappointed with how he's got 1 goal, 5 assists, 6 points, -2 in 13 games.
Yeah. I feel so like
it's like, what, a 6-year deal?
Yeah. That plus minus, Vitor, I feel like is probably one of the most important things to look at for a D-man.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're a winger, like, it's tough to if you have a good plus minus as a winger, it might talk to you about how you and your line like works together. But you also got to factor in the fact that you're 2 guys in the back or your like last line of defense before someone scores in your goalie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, plus minus, as much as I love it, it's really hard to, you have to really, really, really look into the team and like how they're doing to like
how's your goalie doing? How's your defense doing?
Yeah.
It's a lot of
like
things.
When William Karlsson had his plus 49 or whatever, plus 47, he had Fleury playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he had arguably one of the best seasons out of it was the best season out of a Golden Vegas, Vegas Golden Knight.
Golden Vegas Knights?
Golden Vegas
Vegas Goldens.
Knights, Vegas.
I had to get
Golden
you back,
Jets
man.
Knights. But, I mean,
Wait, did we even finish talking about the West? I feel like
we
kind of
started with we started with them talking about Vegas a little bit, and then obviously Colorado, rocking those Nordiques looking jerseys,
Oh,
look
those are-
amazing.
those
But
are
I mean,
dope.
they were having some issues. McKinnon was out for like a week-to-week basis for like about a week and a half, I think. Well, the whole team was kind of out, so it's not like people lost out with that. I mean, Landeskog has been out because of COVID protocol.
Yeah.
He started on the third line for the outdoor game. I think they're going to transition him back to the top line.
Yeah.
But I mean, bring in Burakovsky, Kadri, and
not
Saad,
Kadri.
and even Saad. I mean, Kadri's been a great second line center for them. It's worked out.
He's a good player for them. I just will never forgive him
I
for
know.
his time as a Leaf.
I know.
Watching Jake DeBrusk kick his ass is kind of cool in the
It's
playoffs.
kind of hot.
Kind of. Ooh,
Speaking of
Give me
West
a
teams,
little steamy over here.
But, and then Brandon Saad, even, with the West team, I just want to finish up with the Colorado thing right here. I mean, you have like Saad right now. Obviously, he's won 2 cups with St. Louis. Wow, Chicago.
Yep.
10 points in 15 games, 6 goals. That's a pretty good start, considering that was for the trade for what was it? Zaitsev going to,
Are you
or
good
no,
over there?
Zadarov.
yeah, I'm handling my mic.
Yeah, it was Zadarov and someone else, or picks for like between Colorado and Chicago for that
Yeah.
trade. Pretty good start. I mean, Val Nichushkin, whatever, 3 points. I mean, he did really well for them last year. Again, bottom 6 guy right now for them. But
How are the Sharks?
Devon Taves is the big shock, I think. I mean, they paid a lot to get him 2 second-round picks to the Isles, but I
Yeah.
mean, the guy already has 7 points for D-man, 4 goals, 3 assists, and he's a +1. And so his career, he's +9, and he's 53 career points over his career. And so he's going to be a good part to help that. He's playing with Cale Makar, who is just elusive with that, like the lateral skating he can do. I've seen like no one else. My brother, fortunately, actually saw him play in college. Like like when he went to a college
Minuteman.
game. Yeah, he played for them, and so my brother saw him playing against Northeastern one night, and I was just like, kind of cool seeing him in that sense because like before he made it to the big show, but obviously,
That's crazy.
he is.
It was
He's the
good
stuff.
seeing that Avs team pull him up for the playoffs and then just absolutely wipe the Flames.
It was kind of like the
Can't
whole
stand the Flames.
when we brought McAvoy in, but it wasn't the same effect because we lost. But
Yeah, we lost in overtime. I was at that game when McAvoy made his debut. Really, really upset. But I'm looking at Makara's stats right now, and if there's one person who deserves to win the Norris, he's next 3 years he's winning the Norris.
3 straight years. Is that what you're saying?
Within.
You think he's going to win it 3 straight?
No, I thought that's what he
5.
meant for a sec. I mean, McAvoy and Makar are at the top right now. Quinn
Yeah.
Hughes is still putting up good offensive points and doing well too. But I mean, what about Jeff Petrie this year? Hell of a start for Montreal.
I feel bad for Quinn Hughes on that Vancouver team because I felt like he had a really good setup last year with
He
the
did.
guys they had, and now this year it's just all falling apart.
It's just,
Only
I mean,
he has Sedin.
No,
they're in
those
between.
guys out of here.
They're a team that's like in between, but they're going down. Unfortunately, it's kind of like
Braden Holtby.
it's kind of like Nashville right now. Look at Nashville. They're
They're an absolute dumpster fire right
the
now.
only untradables I heard. I forget. I think it might have been on the Instagram
Forsberg.
page I follow. Not even. They're saying the 3 untradables are. Well, Rene is one because he has a no trade clause. It would be like they
What about
can't really even
Yossi?
trade him. Yossi is one of them, and it's Ryan Ellis that's the other because they want to keep that back. He might also have one of those contract things where it's hard to move. I don't know exactly, but Yossi's the captain and the best player right now, other than Forsberg.
How much do you think we'd if the Bruins wanted to pick up Forsberg? How much would be good enough for him? Arm and a leg, huh?
It'd be a good amount.
Yeah.
It would be probably
York, 1 for 1.
Nick Ritchie 1 for 1. No, I honestly think he's still a really good player. I think he has 6, 7 goals already. Something. Someone. I'm gonna try and find it quick, but if I can't,
I like the Craig Smith pickup from that team.
that
Maybe-
was a great signing for us.
yeah, maybe
I think it might involve something of the.
the stats.
I believe Stat Boy lost.
The stats have
thing.
gone away.
But we'll be wrapping up momentarily with this stuff. But the
Sorry, my
Involving-
phone died.
all good. It's all right. But I'll just be we'll be talking still with that. But I think for Forsberg, it would involve and we can kind of end this and then briefly talk about Panarin for 5 minutes and call it. But I think the Forsberg thing would involve some sort of prospect, a first-round pick even.
Yeah.
And maybe even a piece, because he's still a great player and stuff. And I was trying to pull up that stat. But
look at his contract.
Yeah, it's the contract for Forsberg.
Yeah.
I mean, right now he's got 8 goals and 7 assists, 15 points in 17 games. And the contract he has...
Probably about like 5 mil. 5-6 mil.
That's what I think. Probably about 6 mil. It looks 6 years, 36, so 6 by 6.
Yeah.
So I think it kicked in this season or last year.
How much cap space do we have left?
We have about 4 million, 4.5.
4.5.
Colorado has 8. It's ridiculous. Like, Joe Sakic is the best GM. Don Sweeney, I think, is right behind. Like, just for that reason. But we will be wrapping up momentarily, but we will, while we're here, still touch upon the whole hashtag Free Panarin thing, with Panarin allegedly being targeted and being threatened by, apparently back in 2011, that he had beat up a 18-year-old girl/woman, as they were listing it. I think in Latvia is where he was playing in the KHL at the time.
How old is Panarin in 2011?
He was 19.
He was 19.
He was 19, okay, because he was older as a rookie when he came in. He was like 23, 24. So, and he's, I think, 28, 29 now? And
yes.
So, yeah, so he was probably about, 19, 20-ish. And so, who knows? I mean, it could be a thing. People, obviously, but it might not, because obviously there's a lot of controversies apparently around him and Russian life back home or something. And so it's nothing that I know a lot of. Obviously, it was just the biggest news yesterday and stuff, so definitely capitalized on just talking about that. But I mean, he was 5th in points in the league last year, really earned that contract right out of the gates.
How much
for the
was
Rangers.
his contract? Anyway?
I think
he's 12 mil.
I think it was like 12 million. I think so. I think last year he averaged like 10.5 on the books, but I think it's like 12.5 average for the contract. And I mean, he still was playing well, but then he got hurt against the Bruins in that game, and so he kind of was out for a few games since. But then now he's taking a leave of absence for personal reasons and stuff. That kind of maybe gather his thoughts or just get away from the media and stuff.
I say he doesn't make it past next week. Kind of a hot take.
Bread man.
Are you talking like Putin style, not making it past next week?
Yeah, like
bread man becomes toast, or
Chris Ferrante. That was genius. That was a pun and a half. I meant to V-clip.
But I mean, it's just we will see, I guess, with the Panarin situation and that. But
I think we're going to see something really interesting come out of it, maybe.
I do too. I think it's going to be either we'll get answers or it's going to get really iffy and messy.
If he was, okay, so let's put it like this. There's a couple of ways that you can look at it. If he was 23, 24 when he came up to the NHL, the question starts to get posed, why did it take him so long to get up?
He was playing in the KHL. That's what they were saying. He was playing there for a few years, getting stronger, playing against men. I mean, it's kind of like the whole, not as long, but Evgeny Malkin. He played in the KHL for a year before coming over to the NHL.
Yeah, true. But like I'm saying, you have all these guys that are 18, 19, 20 coming up into the league. He came up at 23.
True.
So if there's a reason I'm not saying that he did anything. I'm saying if he did have a crazy life back home, that could be one of the things that led to
it is very possible. Yeah.
Not coming up yet. But I also believe that his position is very against the current Russian established government, right?
Based off what we've heard, yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if this thing could go either way.
Right, because I mean, I think also a lot of issues that we've seen with some players who want to come over from the KHL to the NHL is the legal issues with the contracts and stuff. They can't come over until that expires because they can't terminate it based off certain things.
Yeah.
So I think that might have also been why he took forever to come over too. But then again, what you pose also could be a technicality too, and maybe that was something involved in it as well. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe within the next 2 weeks we'll see something unfold because he's taking a little bit of time to kind of be on his own. So maybe by this time next week or a little bit after, we'll start to see a little bit of a, if you can call it that, resolution with the whole circumstance and all of that.
All I know is that this Rangers team is going to be hurting as a result of this, even more than they already are.
Yeah.
Because him and Mika Zibanejad are a tag team duo right now.
And he's having a rough start as Zibanejad. And we can definitely...
COVID. That's because he had COVID, post-COVID.
Yeah, we can check in on the Rangers this time next week and all of that. For now, we are out of time, and we will pick off with whatever news we can next week, starting off, and see where we ramble on from there. But for those of you who will be listening to this and have listened all the way through, appreciate you listening, and we hope to hear back from you or have you listen in. Fumbled at the end of there, but hey,
it's okay. First episode jitters.
But hey, first episode speaking, right?
Hey, we got Vegas Knights of Gold, and we have
Twade, and then we got
Blacks
fumbling stuff at the end.
I'll make that into a T-shirt.
Twade.
Don't
Twade my quarter black.
Adam McQuaid.
Yes,
Adam McQuaid. McQuaid.
With that, we thank you for listening to Inside the Box, and we will see you all. Or you will see all of us soon, and best wishes.
Peace.